It's tax season, y'all. So tonight I want to talk about 5 things you need to survive tax season this year. I see people make a lot of mistakes, and so I'm hopefully doing this so you can avoid a lot of those things. All right. So I'm Kamari Ellis. I'm a tax accountant. I have over 35 years of tax and financial services experience. Actually, I'm entering in my 35th, or is it my 36th tax season? It's been a long time, so they're starting to all run together. But after all these years, you start to see things and you start to see patterns. And these things and these patterns tend to stay the same. So I wanted to go over a lot of them with you before tonight or for tonight, right? So I won't belabor this, right? So a couple of things I want to talk about, right? Top 5, ignoring deadlines and procrastinating. Please don't do that, right? Now come back and go through these, right? Number two, you got to make sure that you are, what is number 2? All right. Make sure you're filing accurate tax returns, y'all. I want to make sure I got this out tonight. All right. And number 3 is overlooking deductions and credits, right? Number four is not seeking the professional advice of qualified and proven tax professionals. And number 5, listening to social media gurus. Been running into a lot of that over the last couple of years, and they get a lot of y'all jacked up, all right? But like I said, I wanted to talk to y'all about this because every year I run into a lot of the same problems, all right? So number 1 being ignoring deadlines. We don't want to ignore deadlines, y'all. They are here. They're not flexible, but they're not super rigid, right? However, you have the ability to file extensions, but I don't want to talk about extensions so much because a lot of times we procrastinate. One thing I do want to talk about real quick, I've been seeing a lot of my fellow tax professionals talking about delaying filing your tax returns because of this new bill that's in Congress right now that could potentially extend or give more money for tax credits and some other business credits. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with waiting to delay because you think you want to get more money from the IRS. The reason I don't believe in that is because you never know what's going to happen. You could have delays. You could have backups. You don't want to get caught in any of that. So I say file your tax returns in advance as much as possible. Don't rush, but do them in advance. Don't delay. File them right away because you never know what's going to happen down the line. And if this new bill comes out that's going to give more child tax credit and that's going to give more business credits or deductions rather for some business owners, they will retroactively go back and give you your money if you are doing any of it. But it's better to get your return done and get it in so you don't lose out on any, let's say, IRS misgivings because things get a little crazy at times, right? So don't delay. Now, I want you to be aware of some important dates, right? First date, January 31st. It's coming up real soon. You need to have, this is for my business owners, you need to have your 1099s filed and submitted to your contractors, anybody that worked for you, that you paid over $600 in any annual year, right? So in 2023, if you paid a contractor $600, you need to file your 1099s as soon as possible and get them delivered to them by January 31st. All right. Also, you need to file your W-2s. So if you had any employees that worked for you that were in your employ, you need to file your W-2s by January 31st. Actually, you should have them distributed and delivered to your employees by January 31st. So you don't want to miss out on that. All right. The next important date is going to be March 15th. March 15th is the deadline for S corporations. So make sure you get all those done. All right. So we got January 31st, 1099s, W-2s. We have March 15th, S corps. Don't want to miss out on them. And of course, we have the following deadline of April 15th. Don't wait till the last minute, y'all. Don't wait till the last minute. Now, one thing, number two here, so we did number one. Number two here, many times people overlook deductions, tax deductions, and tax credits. And I know many of you probably like, well, what's a tax deduction and what in the world is a tax credit? So it's simple. A tax deduction is something that will help lower your taxable income. All right. So for example, let's say you made $100,000 last year in 2023 and you had tax deductions worth $10,000. So those tax deductions that are worth $10,000 now lower your income of $100,000 to $90,000. So then you're only paying tax on $90,000. So remember, deductions help lower your taxable income. Then you have tax credits. Tax credits help you reduce the amount of tax you are paying. And I know it gets a little confusing sometimes. People get a little boggled sometimes, tax deduction and tax credits. But the tax credits help to reduce the amount of taxes you are paying, all right? Your tax liability. And so, and again, it gets a little bit more complicated, but there's refundable credits and there are non-refundable credits. And so non-refundable credits are certain credits that will help lower your tax bill, but that money will not come back to you in cold hard cash or in a physical check or direct deposit these days, all right? So those are things that you have to think about. I see people miss out on these deductions and credits every year. Just going off the top of my head, thinking real estate professionals, especially a lot of my agents, a lot of times when they're going out doing showings, when they're going out to see properties, when they're meeting with meetings, they are forgetting to track mileage and write off mileage. Most times, oftentimes, you can write off mileage. I won't get into the super duper technicals, but you can do that. And a lot of times people forget to track their miles so they can report it on their tax return. So remember to take advantage of all your tax deductions and all of your tax credits. It's really, really important because money doesn't grow on trees. So why give it all to Uncle Sam if you don't have to? All right. So keep all those things in mind. And if you're thinking about what are some tax deductions I could also think about, right? So think about the standard deduction. Everybody gets the standard deduction. And also think of the standard deduction kind of like a coupon. Like I said, it helps to reduce your overall income, right? So let's flip it real quick. When you're going to the store and you spend $100 on groceries and you got a coupon, that coupon then reduces your overall tax bill. Standard deductions reduce your overall tax income because income is based on, taxes is based on income. So the lower your overall income, typically the lower your taxes, all right? And then remember, tax credits then help to reduce your overall tax liability that was once, I know it's confusing y'all, but it was once based on your tax income. Then you bring in tax credits, and sometimes you'll get those credits back. A lot of times you won't, all right? So there's non-refundable and there's refundable credits. So keep that in mind. And before I get going too fast, this broadcast is sponsored by the Philly Tax Team, all right? So I want to pay some bills real quick.
What's the deal, party people? Phil's favorite comedian, too, right here. Just want to tell you, it's that season again. That's right. Tax season is upon us. Don't panic. Don't get stressed. Get you a strong team behind you. That's what I did. I got the Philly Tax Team behind me. They came in, they explained and organized my finances. They filed my tax returns for up to 3 years. They did everything that we as entertainers are not always paying attention to. Get you a team that will make you a better player. Philly Tax Team. I'm on it. Get yours.
All right, so shout out to Teray, King of Philadelphia Comedy, did that commercial for me. And we've been working together, been knowing each other for a long, long time. All right, so I went over 3 things that you need to survive tax season this year. What's number 4? I told you already in advance, so Nobody should be guessing, right? But number 4 is make sure you're working with a good tax advisor that can help walk you through the complex situations in the tax code, right? We just talked about deductions and credits. That's complicated enough. And a lot of times I, even myself, have to go back and refer to the tax code and look it up. Nobody can memorize all of this stuff. If they tell you you can, they're lying. All right. But listen to your tax professionals. Oftentimes, when you want to know that, again, I'm always thinking about real estate investors because I work with them a lot. If you're thinking about things like depreciation, right? What's a good exemption? Excuse me. What's a good expense and what's not a qualified expense? Sometimes you need to go through those things. Quick example. I have some real estate investors who bought plots of land, right? They're not doing anything with those plots of land. They're just dirt, just sitting there in the middle of the ground, no house on them, no nothing on them. And they feel like they can write off, grass cutting and things like that. But there's kind of a rule that when your land or your real estate's not in service or being used to make money, the IRS will say it's not in service. And so you can't really use it as a tax write-off. A lot of people kind of ignore that or don't know about that. And I see many people actually improperly write some of those deductions off. So I often have to remind many of my real estate investors about this. So, some of those things get tricky, they get complicated when you can write something off, when you can. Sometimes it's best to talk to an advisor, a professional one, all right? And last but not least, please ignore all tax advice. That's right, I'm on social media, but ignore all tax advice from social media gurus. Those people who don't have any education, any experience on social media saying, hey, get this new hot stock tip. Go buy a G-Wagon, even though you don't necessarily need a G-Wagon for your business. A G-Wagon won't help your business grow. It just looks good and helps you spend it or waste a whole lot of money. So keep all of those things in mind, right? When you're going through these, what I call financial pornography, a lot of times on these social media streets that really sound good, a lot of times sound great, but really, really, really aren't here to do anything but just kind of get you riled up and help to get this new social media guru some clicks and likes, and maybe even paid from these platforms, because a lot of the platforms do pay dollars. All right. So remember, those are my top 5 things to survive tax season this year. If you have any questions about taxes, about income taxes, feel free to give me a shout. You can always find me over at phillytaxteam.com. And there's also a link in the bio if you need to talk to me soon. All right, everybody. So I'm Kamari Ellis. I'm out, and I'll be back soon. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye-bye.